Tandem Nomads, episode 121. Do you feel like you want to crawl in a ball or run away if you hear how important it is for you to put yourself out there and create your online presence? If you fear putting yourself on social media, creating videos, or simply sending newsletters on a regular basis to your audience, then this episode is for you. Tune in because we're going to talk about some important things here. You will not be able to succeed at growing a successful portable business if you don't overcome these fears.
Hello, Nomad Nation. Welcome to Tandem Nomads, the podcast show and entrepreneurship platform where you can find great inspiration and tips to grow a successful portable business and thrive in your global nomadic life. This is your host, Amel Deregi. I'm a business and marketing expert and the founder of Tandem Nomads. Before we dig into today's episode, I want to share with you a little bit of a news and updated on some things that are happening in the coming months. But before I do that, I just want to thank all of you for tuning in. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and to spend this moment together. If you are a long-time listener, I appreciate you so much, and I want you to know that. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, then I just want to say a big welcome to you, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you. I hope that we'll continue to be together on this journey for a long time. So here's the news. If you are a regular listener of Tandem Nomads, you might have already noticed that Tandem Nomads is organized this way. So one week I have an episode with usually a guest about how to build a portable business, but it is mostly designed to bring you inspiration and show you examples of what other people are doing with their businesses to grow their businesses and make it portable. So I do share with you that usually in every even number episode, and then the following episode is an episode just with you and me, where I share with you specific marketing and business tips. So that's one thing that I wanted to highlight to you. The other thing you might have already noticed if you've been listening for a long time is that during the summer season, we tend to slow down a little bit the episodes. But for this summer 2019, I decided to not slow down this podcast show. We will continue to have weekly episodes. However, I will make them much shorter. I want to make sure to give you the time to be able to digest everything, knowing that during the holidays is not the ideal time to have time on your own to listen to the podcast episodes. I know that expat holidays are usually not holidays, and I think a lot of you might agree on that. So what I decided to do is to make these episodes much shorter, around 10-15 minutes maximum, and I will be also sharing some tips, but very quickly, just to help you stay in the right mindset and help you have some aha moment during the summer. But we won't dig deep into the details. If you know me very well, I love to give every detail and give you everything I can for every episode. So we're going to have shorter episodes for this summer 2019 as this episode is aired. And in September, we'll see how we start over. I'll keep you updated about that. But another thing I want to highlight, especially if you're new to this podcast show, you also want to check the website of this podcast, because on the marketing and business tips, I usually also have a blog for those who like to also read the tips that I share with you. So make sure to go to the webpage of every episode where I put the link that sends you to the blog page, where I write down everything I've been sharing with you in a more synthetic way, but definitely useful for you to keep the highlights. So every time you wanted to find the podcast episode of a show, you go to tandemnomads.com/ and then you add the number of this episode. For instance, in this case, it's episode 121. So you go to tandemnomads.com/121. And one more thing is that we'll also be sharing these episodes on a video format for those of you who like the video format. So you will find the videos of each episode in the blog page of these episodes that I just explained how to find them. Speaking of videos, if you are in that situation where you really feel very, very resistant, reluctant, or even afraid of putting yourself out there through videos, but also through social media, I also had clients not wanting to send their newsletters because of the fear of bothering their people. So if you're in that case, this is an episode dedicated for you. And know that I really feel for you because I've been in that situation and I have a lot to share with you about that. And I want to share with you what has helped me get out of my comfort zone, and hopefully it will also help you. So let's dig in, and don't worry if you feel that there's a little difference in the sound, because the next upcoming audio is the extract of the video I did about this topic.
So I will share with you some practical tips. If you know me by then, you know that I like practical tips, but there's one major thing you need to understand before even you start implementing tips. It's a mindset shift that you have to have. I want you to think about one thing. Putting yourself out there, it's not about yourself. It's actually pretty selfish when you think about it, to not want to put yourself out there if you think that you really have a service or a product that people need and will really benefit from. If you put yourself out of this equation, you will be able to give of yourself to be able to serve your clients. So it's not about being superficial, putting yourself out there. It's about making sure that the people who need you can find you. So I hope that you can make this mindset shift, and that whenever you feel that resistance, you tell yourself this thing. It's not about me. It's about who I'm serving. And you can name it, by the way. Which leads me to some quick tips that I want to share with you, how you can implement this mindset shift into practical actions. So the first thing, I want you to think about one person. When you have to post something on social media, create a video, or send a newsletter, think about one person you know would really need you and need whatever you have to offer. Name that person in your head and think about it when you start working on it, so that you put yourself out of the equation. And I also do something with my clients when I work with them one-on-one, is it's very often that when they start thinking about themselves, they block in front of the camera. So if I take the phone and ask them, what do you do? What do you do? Why do you do? What do you do? Suddenly they start blossoming and they forget the camera. So try to practice that exercise. If you can't do it on your own, get a friend to take a phone or a camera and ask you that question, why you do what you do. So that will help you have your first video without you even having to think about it. Having friends also interview you about your business while you are really focused on the person who's asking you the questions will be a great practice. So think about it. Now, what I also do, in my case, I have to be honest, I also have the fear of being recorded, and I'm still not up to the day completely comfortable with it. So one thing that really helps is to have a mantra when you start. So my mantra when I start, I always say to myself, this is to help expat partner turn their dual career challenges into opportunity, and I'm here to serve them. So this is something that really helps me when I start every video, and I did it just before starting this video. So think about what mantra you can repeat to yourself and make it a routine every time you have to post something and you feel resistant, or create a content, or create a video, or send your newsletter. So create that mantra and focus on that value you want to give to that person. Now, I want to share with you other things. Once you pass that stage where you're like, okay, I'm going to do it, here's another thing that you need to keep in mind. Just do it, start first, and perfect later. I even invite you to never edit whatever you're doing, especially if it's a video. Just put it out there and let it go. Don't overthink it and don't overdo it, because you will never be able to improve if you wait to have the perfect version from the start. Improvement comes with progress and step-by-step and continuity. So just start and perfect later. That will really help you. if you compare my first episodes to my episodes today, there's a huge difference. And I really hope that there will be a lot of more improvements in the future too. So think about that for yourself. And another thing that can help you is to focus on systems. Instead of thinking too much of the emotions, how you feel about it, if you make it a habit and if you create a system that's really regimented and very clear about how you create your content and put yourself out there, you won't have the time to think about how you feel about it. What I mean by that, for example, the content I'm creating my podcast episodes, and I know that every Thursday I have to record them from this time to this time, and right away put it on the system so that my VA can upload it and etc. So it's a habit that I have, and I know that somebody's also waiting for me to send it to them. So think about your system, your content creation system, for example. How can you schedule it in your calendar and just make it a habit where it's not about you again, it's just about you doing the thing and committing to doing it and making it a habit. And finally, here's another big blockage that I know that happens a lot, and we're all, I'm sure, gone through that, including me, is the fear to not please everyone. We are afraid of judgment, and we're afraid of not being good enough. So what I want you to realize is to care enough for people by giving them value, but not caring of how they judge you. That's really important. You do what you can and you do you. And knowing that you cannot satisfy everybody out there. You need to be yourself, and you will attract the people who can really align and identify with you. So just be yourself and don't try to please everyone. This will really help you free yourself up. And just to finish with a metaphor about the importance about taking yourself out of the equation. For example, if there's an emergency and somebody's bleeding and needs to stop the bleeding, I'm sure that you will have no hesitation taking your shirt off to help stop the bleeding. So it's the same thing with whatever you have to put online. If you really think it's valuable and it can help others, then think about that metaphor of the shirt. Take off your shirt and stop the bleeding. So Nomad Nation, I hope this really helps you. And keep in mind, it's not about yourself. It's about the value that you have to offer and the fact that there are people out there who need it. If you don't do it, you're taking away the chance for them to have access to the product or service that they really need. I hope I make my case here. And if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comment section. And I want to know, what is the next thing you will do after this? And are you going to do a social media post, a video? If it helped you, tell me how. I'd love to hear from you. And if you have not yet downloaded your free guidebook to build a successful portable business, then go to tandemnomads.com/121 and you will be able to download your free guidebook there. Now, my nation, as usual, stay tuned to turn your challenges into great opportunities.